Commencing in 1995 with the release of the animated feature film of the same name, Toy Story has gone on to become a juggernaut franchise. Video games, merchandise, theme park lands, and of course some of the most beloved movies of all time have helped establish the brand worldwide. Put simply, Toy Story is Pixar's Mickey Mouse. It revolutionized animated movies in a way that hasn't been eclipsed since. But with all that success, it is only inevitable that there would be a few controversies along the way. So with that said, this is 10 things Disney wants you to forget about Toy Story. Number 10. Banned episodes. We start our list with a controversy distanced from the main cinematic Toy Story releases. Children of the early 2000s may remember the short-lived Toy Story spin-off show Buzz Lightyear of Star Command. It follows the adventure of Buzz Lightyear, a famous experienced space ranger that takes a crew of rookies under his wing as he investigates criminal activity across the galaxy and attempts to bring down evil Emperor Zurg once and for all. The show marked the first time a Pixar film was spun off from one of their own properties. The controversy revolves around the reruns of two episodes in particular, Conspiracy and Inside Job. Both episodes revolve around extremists attempting to assassinate political figures within the show's universe. You know, that classic kids' TV trope. As reruns of the show continued for years, Disney was forced to remove both of these episodes from rotations after the September 11, 2001 terrorist attacks. As a bonus entry, we should also mention that the Conspiracy episode actually aired during the September 11 attacks. Talk about bad timing. Number 9. 1 Million Moms versus 2 Moms. For our next entry, we are going to be looking at a controversy where Disney actually ended up looking like the good guys. In 2019, a homophobic slur in the United States called 1 Million Moms called for a boycott of Toy Story 4 due to a blink and you'll miss it same-sex scene. Within the film, 2 mothers are seen picking up their child from the same kindergarten that Bonnie attends. Although it's an extremely subtle reference, it was the only thing 1 Million Moms focused on. The leader of the group, Monica Cole, laid out the reasoning behind the boycott by ridiculously saying, quote, "The scene is subtle in order to desensitize children, but it is obvious that the child has 2 mothers and they are parenting together. 2 women in a relationship caring for their child? Perish the thought!" The group then went on to say, quote, "Issues of this nature are being introduced too early and too soon. It is extremely common yet unnecessary. Disney has decided once again to be politically correct versus providing family-friendly entertainment. Disney should stick to entertaining instead of pushing an agenda and exposing children to controversial topics." Disney didn't even reply to these stupid declarations, and the boycott didn't seem to work either, as Toy Story 4 went on to become the most successful film in the franchise. Now, only if Disney could keep this energy regarding representation in other countries. Number 8. The Toy Story protest. This is another entry that strays away from the main Toy Story cinematic franchise and instead highlights a controversy concerning the popular Toy Story 2 Buzz Lightyear to the Rescue video game. In 1999, more than 120 people gathered outside Activision's Santa Monica offices to protest what they deemed to be offensive content in Activision's Toy Story 2 PlayStation title. The peaceful demonstration was sparked by the appearance of a mustachioed Mexican bandito character that many found to be a mocking portrayal of Hispanic stereotypes. Oscar de la Torre, a counselor at Santa Monica High School and later founder/CEO of the Pico Youth and Family Center, stated players must shoot the symbol to advance to the next level of the game. "We feel it's degrading, it's dehumanizing, it stereotypes Mexicans as villains." Calls to Activision were not returned, so there was no official word on how soon the replacement copies would be available, how the boss character's deletion would be handled in the game, or the reason for including a character in the game that wasn't in the film. This incident was even mentioned in a book, A Gringo Manual on How to Handle Mexicans by Jose Angel Gutierrez. Number 7. Direct-to-video. A lot of people you ask would say Toy Story 2 is the best entry in the entire franchise. It ups the stakes of the original, features 3 iconic villains, and introduces us to new characters who are now mainstays of the franchise. Holding a perfect 100% on Rotten Tomatoes and grossing $497.4 million at the box office, It is almost impossible to believe that Toy Story 2 was almost a direct-to-video film. Disney initially envisioned Toy Story 2 as a direct-to-video sequel. The film began production in a building separated from Pixar on a small scale, as most of the main Pixar staff were both exhausted and extremely busy working on A Bug's Life. The original Toy Story 2 plot included a version of Bullseye that would speak and didn't include Jessie at all. Disney was happy with the film's reels and eventually upgraded the movie to a theatrical release, but Pixar was unhappy with the overall quality. John Lasseter and the story team redeveloped the entire plot in one weekend. Although most Pixar features take years to develop, the established release date could not be moved, and the production schedule for Toy Story 2 was compressed into 9 months. Toy Story 2 is a perfect movie. It's hard to imagine it any other way. If Disney moved ahead with a direct-to-video release of Toy Story 2, it is likely that the franchise would have never become the cultural phenomenon it is today. Number 6. Knievel Who? Toy Story 4 was involved in another controversy, this time a lawsuit involving the son of legendary daredevil Evel Knievel. Kelly Knievel has held the publicity rights to his father's name since 1998, according to his U.S. District Court filing in Las Vegas. The federal trademark infringement lawsuit claimed that Disney-owned Pixar did not ask permission to use his father's likeness when creating the character Duke Kaboom. Duke Kaboom, voiced by Keanu Reeves in Toy Story 4, was a 1970s toy who rides a motorbike and is Canada's greatest stuntman, the lawsuit said. Knievel was seeking damages of more than $300,000 over allegations including false endorsement and unjust enrichment. The 60-year-old said, "Evel Knievel did not thrill millions around the world, break his bones, and spill his blood just so Disney can make a bunch of money." The lawsuit claimed consumers and film reviewers, quote, universally caught on to the connection, despite the film company and Reeves avoiding any comparison. The lawsuit was eventually dismissed. The court found that Disney met the low, merely above zero standard for proving that the alleged allusion to Knievel had artistic relevance to the film. Despite walking away with the W, Disney has continually been accused of ripping off and stealing ideas from other people, so they would much rather you forget about this lawsuit. Number 5. Buzz gets cancelled? Now it's time for a controversy surrounding a film that, at the time of writing, hasn't even been released. We are of course talking about the recasting of Tim Allen in the upcoming Lightyear movie. Since Toy Story first premiered in 1995, actor Tim Allen has voiced the animated Buzz Lightyear toy character in every sequel, with the most recent franchise installment being Toy Story 4 in 2019. Lightyear, which expected to premiere in 2022, depicts the in-universe Buzz Lightyear blockbuster movie character voiced by Captain America himself, Chris Evans. Some fans have been quick to theorize that Buzz Lightyear was recast due to Tim Allen's recent politics and controversies, citing his notable sympathy for Donald Trump, cancellation of his conservative Fox show Last Man Standing, and 2013 mishap over racial slurs. Allen has certainly been no stranger to controversy throughout his career, which Disney typically attempts to distance itself from with its actors. But this isn't the reason why the original Toy Story voice actor isn't returning. Lightyear director Angus MacLane shut down casting speculation about Tim Allen being passed over by saying Chris Evans was his only choice for the role. Considering Lightyear is a spin-off Toy Story movie and not technically a prequel or direct continuation of the franchise, MacLane had the opportunity to craft Buzz Lightyear in a completely different manner. Despite this quite reasonable explanation, some fans still believe that Disney has essentially cancelled Tim Allen. Number 4. Bo Peep vs. PETA. Would it be a list of controversies without PETA? People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals is an American animal rights organization who seems to get into pointless fights with just about everyone, from mocking Steve Irwin's death to complaining about Mario's fur costume. In 2019, PETA got into some beef with Toy Story 4 character Bo Peep. In a statement to the film's director, Josh Cooley, PETA laid out their case. Quote, "Given that she was designed to have a modern look, why hasn't she lost that outdated and cruel crook? You may not know that these shepherd's crooks are used solely to hook a sheep's neck and force these gentle animals to move. That isn't something that a progressive Bo Peep would countenance in 2019. A badass Bo Peep would likely bop the shearers, not the sheep." Lauren Thomason of PETA goes on to write about how they are trying to change the way people regard and treat animals, and this of course includes sheep. They explain how sheep are, quote, routinely punched, kicked, dragged, and stomped on by shearers, and she calls the crook a symbol of domination and a thing of the past. She adds that it isn't something that should be in the movie, as asks Cooley if he would, quote, please consider removing Bo Peep's crook from the final animation. And vegans everywhere collectively say, they're not with me. While PETA raises some important issues regarding animal cruelty, it is important to remember that Bo Peep is not real. That's right, she's a completely made-up animated character. This means that, regardless of what sort of tools or accessories she's carrying, she's actually not going to be hurting any sheep. Why? Because to hurt sheep, you have to, first of all, be real. If anything, these kinds of PETA moments hurt the animal rights movement more than they help it, because they make you sound far too ridiculous to even be worth listening to. Number 3. A gender-neutral potato head. In 2021, it became clear that we had all been in lockdown for way too long, when Hasbro announced that it would be rebranding the iconic Mr. Potato Head name to just Potato Head. A certain portion of the internet lost their minds. It was PC culture run amok. Despite early commercials for the toy explicitly stating that Potato Head could be turned into a woman with the different accessories included, and the fact that the character is literally a toy potato, many were outraged. It was quickly made clear that many of those who were most outraged didn't bother to read any articles beyond the headline, because Hasbro literally stated that both Mr. and Mrs. Potato Heads would actually still be sold under the umbrella brand of Potato Head. Disney doesn't actually own the rights to Mr. Potato Head, they just licensed the character from Hasbro. So while this was all happening, Disney executives were presumably sweating, hoping the mob didn't decide to boycott all Potato Head-related media. Number 2. Control-Alt-Delete. If you've ever lost, say, an unfinished work spreadsheet or a uni essay you were working on to the technological abyss, you'll be well versed with the panic that ensues. Imagine, though, losing an entire film. The most epic of the disasters that befell Toy Story 2 was a computer accident. Before the new team began to rework the film, they almost lost the film altogether. During a routine cleaning out of file storage, an animator unintentionally hit a key command that erased all sets in the system, including all of Toy Story 2. The process almost happened in slow motion. Team member Oren Jacobs watched the event in real time as first Woody's hat disappeared, then his boots, and then Woody himself. Jacobs rushed the systems team to pull the plug on the Toy Story 2 machine before the whole movie was erased, but it was too late. 90% of the film had been deleted. At first, the team didn't panic. They had backups, after all, and they'd only lose a half day's work. But it was not to be. The backup system didn't work correctly, and there was nothing there to restore. The film was gone. With the Disney deadline looming, the 11th hour solution was almost as accidental as the crisis itself. Galen Sussman, the supervising technical director, had been working from home after the birth of her second child. She had set up a backup program to get the Pixar files to her home computer, and it still delivered all those files on a weekly basis. The computer was retrieved, as in literally driven across the Bay Area to Pixar Studios as if it were a world leader, and the film files were restored. For the most part, Jacobs has acknowledged that some of the files were never restored, but the film managed to flow so well without them that they went ahead. Number 1. The deleted scene. Anyone who grew up with Pixar films will remember the excitement of waiting around until the end of the movie to see what bloopers would be included alongside the credits. However, one of the most notable examples of this is difficult to laugh at in light of today's #MeToo-inflicted political climate. In Toy Story 2, at the gag reel at the end of the 1999 movie, Woody catches the movie's antagonist, the prospector Stinky Pete, voiced by Kelsey Grammer, getting chummy with 2 younger dolls in his figurine box. In 1999, the scene was likely easy to read as just risque enough to amuse, not offend. But that's not the case in 2019, when Pete's implicit quid pro quo offer to the Barbies comes off as a non-too-funny send-up of Hollywood's very real and harmful casting couch history of typically male executives wielding their power over women looking to break into Hollywood by offering them acting roles in exchange for sexual favors.
You know, I'm sure I could get you a part in Toy Story 3. I'm sorry, are we back? Oh, all right, girls.
It's especially discomforting in the context of Pixar's own #MeToo problem. John Lasseter, the former CEO of both Pixar and Walt Disney Animation Studios, left the company in 2018 following numerous allegations of sexual misconduct. When Disney re-released Toy Story 2 in June 2019 on Blu-ray and digital, some were quick to notice that the inappropriate scene was missing, and probably for the better. And that's our list. Did we miss something? Leave a comment below and let us know. And also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.
You don't give a damn about, you don't give a damn about, you don't give a damn about me. So I don't give a damn about, I don't give a damn about, I don't give a damn about you.